My name is Kyle Royer, and I'm a master bladesmith. I am 28 years old, and I've been making knives for half of my life. That's 14 years, people. Can't believe it's been that long already. I live out in the country of the Ozarks, just south of Springfield, Missouri. My blade making journey has led me to this point where I'm building my first ever sword. This thing's got a 35-inch blade, and it's gonna have about a 9 or 10-inch handle, and it'll fit a full-blown 2 hands on it. And what has led me to this point is the last couple years. Like 2 years ago, I made this big bowie with a 16-inch double-edged blade. Really big, and then ever since then, people have been wanting them bigger and bigger. So that's led to this point of me finally having the opportunity to make my first ever sword. And this thing's gonna be epic on a grand scale. Some of the things I wanna do on the next step of my journey in knife making to full-blown start teaching others, set my shop up to be able to facilitate teaching others in a larger way than I've been able to do previously, and maybe start offering some classes, be it one-on-one or maybe, you know, multiple students at a time or something. But I really wanna start teaching things more and, you know, maybe writing some books and DVDs and stuff like that at some point too. Another thing I've really been trying to work on to advance my knife making is to learn how to draw. I love engraving, but to engrave well, you really need to be able to draw well, because if you can't draw whatever you're gonna engrave, then you can't come up with it in the first place to be able to engrave it. So I've been working on doing that, because engraving really is something I like doing, and I feel like it really advances knife making in a cool way for me. Something else that's really cool that's going on right now, that's part of the next step in my knife making journey, is my family and what we've got going on here with my family. The story is my dad, like 9 months ago, quit his job to start learning how to make knives. So Dad's been working with me in the shop every day, learning how to make chef's knives, because we're trying to get a chef knife line going. And we don't even know where we want to go with that yet. It might be super high-end chef's knives, or it might be eventually starting a production factory that'll make chef's knives. So Dad quit what he was doing, building custom homes, and joined me in the shop to do that. A couple months later, my brother Josh quit his perfectly normal, steady job and decided to do YouTube with me full time. My mom's also been over here working with us like 3 days a week, doing accounting and taking care of those pesky taxes and running all the business from that side, and doing a lot of the work that knife makers really don't like doing, and big props to her for that. Also, we've got my sister over here doing things throughout the week to help the business. My brother's got his wife here doing things, and when she's here, we've got nieces over here and stuff. Really cool, lots of family stuff going on, and we're trying to build a kind of a knife empire, if you will, and take all this momentum and stuff that's been building over the years and redirect it into something big. And we don't know where it's gonna go, but we're working really hard to turn it into something. So family is a really big part of the next step in my knife making journey. Someday I want to sell a $1 million knife. I really don't know at this stage what a $1 million knife looks like yet. But as I progress year after year, learning more and more how to add embellishments and add quality, and lately I've been adding size to the knives, I can see a little bit clearer picture of what it would take to make that $1 million knife. And it seems the more I progress, the more that comes into focus and I'm able to do it. So I want to make a $1 million knife that's got value in the knife and the story with the knife maker who made it and everything, not just, you know, $995,000 of materials and then $5,000 labor. I mean, because that would be easy to do if you could get the money to buy the materials. But I want the knife to be valuable because of the skill that it was made with, and the name and story behind the maker who made it, and not just the materials that are in it. I'm getting closer and closer to that. Still a long ways off, but I've almost gotten 1/10 of that, so we're getting there. The American Bladesmith Society's role so far in the knife community has been to educate people and offer testing and certification, for that testing that you've done. I see their education as being very, very beneficial. I took 3 weeks of their classes, Introduction to Bladesmithing and a Handles and Guards class. It cut my learning curve by, I don't know, I want to say at least a year, could have been more, and that's learning from somebody in person and using that tool in your hand, following along behind the master that's teaching you and doing what he does. And that's something that ABS offers when you take their classes, and it's really beneficial. You make a mistake, you can ask the person right there about the mistake you made, and he can redirect you and get you back on the right track again. And there's lots of mistakes in knife making. I think knife making is just a continual string of mistakes and learning how to fix those, because stuff goes wrong all the time, and you got to be able to adapt and learn how to fix your mistakes and everything. And if you do that enough, you'll end up with a really nice knife in the end. Another role of the ABS is to provide testing for journeyman and mastersmith rankings that they offer. And the testing is a really cool series of performance tests and then fit and finish inspection by a panel of judges. And I think it can be really beneficial if you like the forged blade route that the ABS promotes, with forging your blades to shape. And they also really promote education, like I mentioned before, and passing on the knowledge that was almost a lost art of the forged blade. Going with the journeyman or mastersmith ranking or the ABS in general definitely is not necessary to be a successful knife maker. I think there's lots of different paths you could go on to do that, and the ABS is just one of them that really specializes in the forged blade. And being a master or journeyman can give you a good little boost to your business, especially when you're starting out. At least I found that to be true for me. It's really pretty smoothly running operation as far as I can tell. I haven't been on the inside workings of it too much or anything. Possibly one thing would be, and it's just a very small nitpick thing, the judging standards to me seems pretty adequate and level all the time. They do have different judges in there judging for journeyman and master. And different judges do sometimes have a little bit different standard of what they think a journeyman or mastersmith level knife needs to be. So sometimes, depending on the judges that are judging, the standard can be a little bit different sometimes. And I'm talking very little bit. It'd be really nitpicking to say that that's a problem that needs addressed or anything, but that's just different humans judging the work as they see it, And I think that's perfectly natural to happen. Advice I would have for that, to overcome that little bit of a problem: come in there with amazing work that nobody's gonna have problems with. Bring some really good journeyman quality stuff that's absolutely good, and bring some good mastersmith quality stuff, and then you don't gotta worry about any kind of slight variation in who's gonna be judging or anything. Make that work that anybody would see as good journeyman or master quality work. Maybe one other little problem that I can see, and again, this is really nitpicking, would be having to wait for 3 years before you can test for journeyman. That can be good, or sometimes it can be really annoying, because some people join the ABS and want to get their journeyman or mastersmith ranking and have to wait, and they're already really good. They still have to wait that 3-year period. So that can be a little annoying to some people, but if you look at it as part of the testing and part of the trial by time, I guess you could say, then it's okay. And you can cut a year off that time if you go to the intro to bladesmithing class and make it just a 2-year wait. So that's one other little thing that, depending on your circumstances, could be a little bit annoying, but it's not really a problem overall in the grand scheme of things. And just to clarify one more time, I am very, very for the ABS. They've helped me out tremendously. They're out there educating people, hands-on education, which is really, really good, because there's lots of education on the internet, but we don't have a lot of hands-on education in this day and age, and it can really help. And some people don't learn things unless they do it, and I'm a lot like that. Well, to me, I've always kind of considered generically that the blade gets its soul when it's heated up and born again in fire and oil, you know? Heat that blade up to 1500 degrees and quench it in oil to harden it, or whatever temperature your particular steel needs. But that's kind of the generic way that I look at it. But really, if I sat down and deeply thought about, you know, what the soul of a blade is and where it comes from, I think it goes way beyond just quenching it in oil and hardening it. I mean, it kind of becomes like, goes from being a soft piece of metal to a usable knife kind of at that stage. But I think the soul of a blade really comes from the artist or the craftsman who put a piece of their soul into the blade. The blade doesn't have a soul of its own. It's getting a little piece of your soul when you work with it, with your hands and with your tools and your mind. You have to bleed and sweat and cry sometimes in order to get these things done. You're using your intellect and knowledge and skills, and you're pouring it all into this edged cutting tool or edged art even. And that's just pouring yourself and your soul into the knife. And it then has a piece of your soul in it. And it's not its own soul, but it's a piece of you, the artist, in the knife. Yes, I do keep a journal, and it was something my mom actually got me onto. Here it is right here. It says Kyle Warrior Knives, super faded out. This thing's really old. Mom thought I should do it to keep track of each knife that I made and write down some information and stuff about it, because I'd made like 30 or 40 knives or something, and I was kind of starting to lose track of which ones were which when I had somebody asking questions about an old knife that I made or something like that. So I decided to keep a description of each knife in here and the number of each one, and then the date it was made and who I sold it to and how much it was for and everything like that. And it's been really helpful, because I've had a lot of people that would like buy a knife on the secondary market or something and want to get some information about it. And I could normally, almost every time, pull out my journal and find the exact knife that they have, tell them when it was made, some little details about the knife that I otherwise would have forgotten, what number the knife is, and stuff like that, and even maybe the original price if they were interested in that, to know how much it had gone up in value over the years. So it was a really good idea from Mom for me to do this. And because each knife I make takes quite a bit of time, like the fancier and fancier they get, they take more and more time. Like I normally spend a month to 2 months or even 3 months on each project these days. So that allows me to be able to keep track of it like this. If I was doing like more production or something, making like 15 knives a week, it would be a little bit different story. But since each one's like a work of art these days, it allows me to really keep track of that and everything. And they're all, you know, one of a kind, unique pieces that have different specs that I can write in the journal. The sword I'm working on currently is my newest piece. It is going to be number 196. Little fun fact, I've made 81 knives so far as a mastersmith. Right now, the reason I'm making YouTube videos is passing that information on, and I really enjoy the knife making community and can get to be a really unique and special part of that and interact with the community of other people out there, collectors and makers and stuff through YouTube. So that's another really cool part of it. Something else that I think YouTube can offer that I'm really looking forward to is doing collaborations with different YouTubers and artists, and getting to do some unique, fun things that otherwise wouldn't get to do. And it'd be really fun eventually to do some real crazy stuff, like rent a Ferrari or buy a Ferrari and just like go out in a field and go mudding with it or something. Although it probably wouldn't make it very far because those things are about that far off the ground. But anyway, you get my point. Social media has been amazing for custom knife making, I believe, because it's opened the world to you as a knife maker, and It's opened a world of knife makers to you as a collector. You can be a part of their lives and live right there with them as they're working or doing whatever the collector's doing. You can be a part of each other's lives right there on social media. Super cool. You can get to know each other's stories. So one of the places you can go if you want to check out more of what I'm doing and more of my story is YouTube. We're working really hard right now to promote YouTube and build that into something really special. My little brother Josh recently quit his job, came over and started working on YouTube full time, so we're planning on sticking with it for the long run and really building it into something special. And we want to focus on education and maybe a little bit on entertainment. But like I mentioned earlier, we're still trying to figure out what our long-term goal is and what we really want it to become. But I'm excited to see where we go with it. If you want to see some shorter, smaller day-to-day casual stuff, then head over to my Instagram page at Kyle Royer Knives. Thanks so much, Green Beetle, for having me on your Maker's Mark series. It's really an honor to be on there and say a little bit about what I do and who I am, and really appreciate the opportunity, so thanks so much.
I got a brand new blues that I can't explain.